We're gonna leave you this one. Thank you. You guys, this has really been fun tonight. Thank you very much. This is really, you're a great crowd. And I love getting to be at Caltech because I love science stuff. I'm like Edith Bunker. I mean, if somebody explains something scientific to me, I'm like, what? But I love having it explained nonetheless. And I just think science is so cool, I can't even believe it. Even though I have to admit that in 8th grade, I've never told anybody this. I was a horrible student, imagine that. But I was, and we had a substitute teacher, or those kind of teachers. They weren't substitutes, but they were like new teachers that taught a beginning teacher that would teach a semester. And he was a nice guy, and he taught us a semester about trees, and I never paid any attention in school. And so I didn't know anything about the trees at all. And I remember we had the final exam, and it was, oh my, it was just drawings of all different trees, and the only thing was name these trees, and I went like, Dolores, Mr. Bubbles, and my paper. I failed, but it was hilarious. My parents didn't think it was that funny, but I did. I thought it was great. A tree named Mr. Bubbles, that would be good. But I don't shut your pile. So I was in Portland last spring, Portland, Oregon, and I had an epiphany of sorts. It was an important little visit, and I was sort of a little depressed, I guess, and I hadn't even been aware of it until I got to Portland and felt so much better. And I just needed to be in a really left-wing place, and boy, oh boy, Portland fits the bill. They have Birkenstocks on their feet and hands in Portland. And that's what I needed. I needed that, and I felt like Portland was like a giant chiropractor, and it straightened me out. It did, and it was like what I realized in Portland is turn off MSNBC, stop reading Huffington Post, get away from that for a while. You just start, you're like poisoning yourself, and you just need to, not be doing that all the time. And I'm sitting in this little coffee shop in Portland, feeling profoundly lightened by Portland and helped out, and feeling grateful to Portland for that. And I had this flash of a memory of something I'm sure I hadn't thought of in decades, of the first time I ever played guitar in a public performance. I was 12, and it was at a coffee house in Timonium, Maryland, on York Road, called Patches 15 Below. And I'm sure it was I was playing my first guitar I ever had, my little Rhapsody guitar. And it was hootenanny night, so anybody was allowed to go up and do some numbers. And I did Ella Speed and All the Pretty Little Horses. And sitting there in Portland, I completely remembered this. And I remembered very specifically walking off stage to pretty rousing applause, thinking this sentence: they're not clapping because you're good, they're clapping because you're 12. And being very aware that you're not that good, you're 12, they're gonna be nice to any kid. So I was aware of that. But there I am sitting there in Portland remembering this coffee house that I loved. I loved to go to this place, and whenever I could. I was a junior high school kid, so my parents just didn't let me go whenever I wanted to. I had to have an adult. And the man who lived up the street, Mr. Eck, was the man from whom I learned to play the guitar. And he just sat around and played guitar, and I just sat around and watched him. That's how I learned to play. And he went a lot, so I would go when he went, and we were good friends. And I would just hornswoggle any adult I could into taking me to the coffee house so I could see it. I loved it. And my favorite guy was a guy named Bob Steddings, and my other favorite was a guy named Bob Gibson, and I just worshipped these guys. And I remembered sitting in that coffee house thinking, I want to get to do that when I grow up. What if you could do that? What if you could just travel around the country and be a folk singer? Wouldn't that just be so neat? And I'm telling you, it wasn't until I'm sitting in this coffee house in Portland that I'm like, oh my God, I am doing that. That's exactly what I'm doing. And it seems like, well, how could you have not realized it before? But I hadn't ever thought about it, because my approach to this has been, from the outset, the employment aspect of it has been to how to not get a job. That's all it was ever about. It was never about having a folk music career. It was about not having a job. I didn't want to have a job. I wanted to just sit around and play guitar all the time. So how can I do that? Well, maybe la 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 la. We plan to do that. Great. So So I just never got a job. And I'm sitting there in Portland realizing that it's so satisfying to me and I'm so engrossed in it that I never stepped back even once to look and realize, holy smokes, I got to do the very thing I hoped I could do when I was in junior high school. It's amazing. So I felt just so blessed, and it's a song about all that.